Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Find a Moment podcast, where we navigate the space between ideals and everyday life. We are your hosts, Gretchen Roberts and Jennifer Ford, and we look forward to finding a moment with you today. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Find a Moment podcast. We are so excited to continue our series on Meet the Artists. This is our 5th episode in the series, and it has been a joy to introduce you all to several of our friends who are artists of various ages, and just to hear the stories that people have lived and the way that they have embraced the arts and learned who they are and then figured out how to share their gifting with the world has just been a joy. So we have another very special guest today, and I will let Jennifer introduce our guest.
Oh, so today we get to introduce you to our other daughter, Lucy, and you met my first daughter, Amelia. She was the first interview of our series, and so now we get to have Lucy on.
Yes.
And you are my younger of my two girls, and yay, you've got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yay. Lucy, why don't you tell us about yourself? What's happening with you and with school right now, and what you like to do creatively?
Well, I'm 14 years old, so I'm a freshman in high school, and right now I'm really invested in like community theater, specifically musical theater. I really enjoy doing musicals. I'm really invested in choir at my school and just everything to do with like singing and performing, because it's what I love, which is what this episode is about.
As your mom, I have my own memories of things that we've done as a family and things that I would try to do with you guys while y'all were little. But what are some of your earliest memories in terms of exposure to the arts and things that are just beautiful and lovely and creative?
Yeah.
And that could be things that I've taken you to, or things that you got to do yourself.
Well, I think probably one of my earliest memories of that is when we would always go see the Nutcracker, and also when we saw The Sound of Music. That was, I think, when I really remember just being so excited after the performance. Like, I have to meet these people, I have to do this, because it's like that feeling you get when you're an audience member and you just love it so much. So probably seeing Nutcracker, Sound of Music, and I always just really liked music in general, and we were very like an artistic family because we had a lot of time to do that kind of thing and a lot of opportunity.
How old do you think you were when you saw the Nutcracker or The Sound of Music?
I feel like I was like maybe 7.
Wow.
Something like that. Maybe
So
even
pretty young.
Maybe even younger than that.
You were probably 3 the first time I ever
Really?
took you to the Nutcracker at Thalia.
Aw.
Yeah.
I remember
You just
seeing
don't remember it.
Yeah, I remember seeing The Sound of Music and really being excited about that. And I remember always being so excited to meet, how do you say his name? Drosselmeyer. I always wanted to meet him every time we saw the Nutcracker, because I thought he was like the coolest character. But yeah, I guess we had been seeing it like every year.
Wow.
Since like a long time back. But I specifically remember being there probably when I was like 6, maybe even 5. But it was just, I always remember just really enjoying performance and being in the audience, but also being the person on the stage from very early on.
Yep.
When was your first on-stage experience?
Well, my first like official kind of musical theater performance, or just like theater in general, was when I was 9. But I do remember at family vacations and at a bunch of family events, not necessarily being on stage, but wanting to be performing for the family when I was probably, how old do you think I was? Like, when that first started out? It was very early.
The little Frozen situation at the beach, you were probably 4 at the, maybe 3, 4 at the
I love
oldest.
it.
Yeah. I think I've enjoyed performing for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, and what was your first performance when you were 9?
I was in The Velveteen Rabbit with Acting Up, and it was so much fun. It was such a big like thrill, because it was the first show I ever like got to do officially, and it was so exciting because I remember the feeling of like stepping on the stage and being at the rehearsals and getting a microphone, and it was just so exciting.
You were the best little boat.
Yes, I like to think that.
We'll have to put a picture of you in your boat costume on our show notes page.
Definitely.
Or in the carousel.
Yes.
The first point where it really felt like a big deal was when I got my first lead, which was Shere Khan in the Jungle Book. Because then I got to I had a lot more lines and a lot more opportunity to be creative with it and just like really be invested and really be big on stage, like with all my lines and the songs. It was just so much fun.
Do you remember what that was like playing Shere Khan? Because I feel like knowing all the roles that you've gotten since then, that was a very different role, because now you've kind of become typecast in sort of this like Disney princess or like the sweet girl roles, which is a good match for your personality. But back then when you were Shere Khan, you really like took that on and were very intense. Like, do you remember playing that part and what that was like?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was so much fun. I think that towards the beginning of when I started out with performance, I wanted to play that kind of role. But then the more that I got cast that way, I was like, okay, now I want to try something different. I want to try the more softer roles. But I 100% remember getting to be creative with it and just being so excited to play that kind of role. Because you have a lot of creative license with that kind of thing. When you get cast as a role, it's like you do what they tell you to, and you perform how you're supposed to, but then you can take it even farther and make that role kind of your own, and it's just it's so much fun.
So what are go through all the different shows and the roles that you've had.
Okay.
Because you're in your 10th show this right now.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. First show, I was the boat in Velveteen Rabbit. And then second show, I was Shere Khan in Jungle Book. Third show, I was just ensemble in The Lion King. Fourth show, I was Annie's understudy in Annie Jr. Then I played Anna in Frozen. And then...
Which was your first big lead.
Yes, that was when it started to really pick up. And I started to get more lead roles. And then I got cast as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And then I was Barbara Maitland in Beetlejuice. And then I was the dragon in Shrek. and then I was Florica and ensemble in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And now I'm currently playing Rusty in Footloose.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a very long, very fun ride. It's been awesome.
How many shows does that put you at doing, like in a school year? Like, what would a typical performance schedule be?
I usually try to do. I've normally been doing 2 to 3 shows per year, but I have to take a lot of breaks between shows. I don't usually do them back to back because it's just. With rehearsals and performances, you can get really exhausted afterwards, which it's totally worth it. But the only time I've ever done a back-to-back show was during Notre Dame and Shrek. But other than that, I've just been doing, I think, 3 shows per year, something like that.
Wow.
When you talk about rehearsal schedules, what if you could set your own rehearsal schedule for a show, would you rather it be just a few days a week and take a longer time to get to production, or would you rather do like how Hunchback was, where you had rehearsal 6 days a week, but you went to production really fast?
I think it should always go slower, because part of the fun of being in a show and a big performance like that is the rehearsals, because I almost enjoy rehearsals as much as I enjoy being on stage in the actual performance. It's all part of the process, and I think that a show wouldn't be what it is to me if I didn't have the complete package altogether. So personally, I would prefer to have rehearsals a couple nights a week, which is how it is for me right now, which is really, really great. But yeah, I just feel like most companies do just a rehearsal every single night and then they get to the show really quickly. But I think that it should get to last a long time, because I feel like when it goes by really quickly, you don't get to enjoy the entire, the fullness of it. And I like to take it slow and be able to really get like immersed and invested in it.
So in one of the quicker productions, what would that time frame be like? How many weeks?
Every night for 6 weeks, roughly. And That honestly is, it's so fun, but sometimes you just get really worn out and it goes by really quickly. But
yeah,
something like 6 weeks.
Wow.
I guess it's common to do like a month and a half, roughly, when you're doing a rehearsal every single night. But I like them to be dragged out over like 3 months, maybe.
Is that what your current one is?
Yes.
Wow. And so what is the community feel that you get with that, like with the people that you're, I mean, every night for 6 weeks, I mean, I would think you would develop some neat relationships. And what is that like?
I think that for me personally, and I think a lot of people can agree on this, that the theater community is just so welcoming. And I think that for the theater community, it's like everybody just loves everyone so much, because I think we all know that we passionately love what we're doing, and we all have that shared interest. The first time that I started doing theater, I was blown away by just how inviting everyone was. Like, the first show I ever did, people wanted to talk to me and they wanted to really like meet me, know why I love theater and why I love performing. And it's just whenever I'm there, whenever I'm at my rehearsals, it's like everyone is always smiling. Everybody wants to speak to everyone, and it's, even if it sounds cliche, it's just like, it does feel like a big family and not as much of like a bunch of little cliques and stuff like that. Like, I never feel like I have to fight for someone's attention or ask somebody to want to spend time with me there, because everyone is constantly wanting to spend time with everyone. So it's a really connected group. I think we all connect really strongly through the show.
So there's kind of this sort of the same core group of teens that audition for a lot of the same shows that you've been in, like, and that's part of why these relationships have become so close, is because you guys are all doing, and you're staying connected about when's the next audition, what are you going to use for your audition piece, what role do you want. So you're building these friendships, but then you go through the audition process, and sometimes the cast list does not line up with what everybody was hoping for. So have you ever dealt with disappointment, either your own or maybe a friend who's disappointed because you got the role that the friend wanted? Like, just kind of describe what some of those experiences have been like.
Yeah, so I've definitely been through that. I think that when you're in performing arts, it's kind of unavoidable. You have to go through that at some point. It's part of the whole process. And I think too, when you love that, when you love being in performing arts, you kind of make peace with the fact that you're not going to always get that. So I think, I've definitely been through that. I think that whenever you get in that position where you get a part that somebody else wanted who you care about, or somebody else that you care about gets the part that you wanted, it's honestly just, whenever you get in, when you're really in the moment of realizing that this is happening and this isn't how I wanted it to go, I'm confused, people are hurt, people are sad, it can feel really, really like, well, this can't go well, this isn't going to resolve itself. But in the end, when it all comes down to about, I think probably through Tech Week and during the actual show, when you really get to the end point, you realize that it all worked out for the better, because that kind of thing never works out wrong. To my knowledge, I've never been in a situation where I got a role or somebody else got a role and people were disappointed, but it never worked out. It never worked out on its own, and people ended up at the end of the show still being upset. I've never been through that, but I mean, like, I have experience with getting a role that one of my close friends really, really wanted, or one of my close friends getting a role that I wanted really badly. And I think that whenever it happens, it's kind of just like you have to accept it, and it either comes down to if you hold a grudge or you cling on to that feeling versus making peace with the fact that this is how the show is and we're gonna have fun either way. Because in the end, I don't think it's about how much stage time you have or who you're playing. It really comes down to like what's going on behind the scenes and how you feel when you're on stage in the moment.
I love that. It sounds like a very mature response of, there is like a greater cause that yes, we can be disappointed, but we can also come together and see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That definitely takes a level of maturity. And it reminds me of kind of our subtitle of navigating this space between ideals and everyday life. And it sounds like, you all have, going after auditions or leading into auditions, you have these ideals of what would this show look like, and then kind of the everyday life of this is the way it's going to play out. And it sounds like you navigate that well with having the bigger picture and focusing on the relationships even more than the role maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of the lesson that I've learned through doing it for years, is that in the end it really is like over the ideal. It's what the real point of doing the show is.
So it sounds like it's less competition feeling and more community feel.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is, I think that is great, especially as a teenager.
Yeah.
Because there's so much competition in so many areas of life. And so, yes, you're kind of competing for a role, but you really see it more as a community of performers going through an experience together. That is really neat.
Yeah. And too, I think when you step into the really like strongly professional areas, it does get more competitive. But whenever you are in a more, you could say it's more casual theater, but I think the shows are just as good, no matter what kind of like level of how professional it's at. But I think when you get into the really, really serious shows, people start to get more set on like, okay, this is what I want. I want this part, and I want this show to look how I want it because it's in that really high professional level. But where I'm at right now, they're just less competitive where I'm at. And I think that I'm really good with staying there because I personally, even if I don't get the role that I want, if the community is strong, then I'm going to enjoy the show just as much as if I was a lead. And I think that when you get into the really, really competitive areas of that, people have a harder time enjoying it because they have such a strong ideal. And so I can have really strong ideals with shows that I'm in, but I have to also have a level of like, okay, I'm okay if this doesn't happen, and I'm okay if this doesn't fit my ideal, because I have these people and I enjoy performing, and I enjoy performing no matter what I'm doing, as long as I'm performing. For me, I've just had to learn to not really cling on to those ideals. I have to kind of like let it go and just like, okay, God, like that's your decision. I can do whatever I can. Like in the show that I'm in right now, I really wanted a role, but I said like, okay, I'm going to work really, really hard for this audition. I'm going to work really hard at the callback, and everything else is just up to God. And it was a completely unexpected outcome. So in a way, that's how I know that God's really just like, that's up to him, because I didn't expect it to go that way. So really not clinging on to the ideal as much as I think I want to sometimes, or I'm kind of inclined to, is part of how you enjoy it to the fullest.
That's so wise. Kind of that holding it loosely and allowing God to place you. And do you feel like when it has been an unexpected outcome, like do you feel like that confirmation as you're going through the show of like, yes, this is the way it was supposed to be?
Yes, I definitely do. It takes me a while sometimes, but it definitely takes time. When you first get that feeling or that notice of like, oh, this didn't happen, it can feel, and it does feel really like confusing, and you're just like, I don't understand, this is not how it's supposed to go, quote unquote supposed to. Yeah, whenever you get that feeling, I guess I get comforted by knowing that that feeling is temporary, and knowing that it's going to work out, because like I said, I can't go through a show without enjoying it. It just doesn't, that doesn't really happen for me.
So do you like give yourself time to like cry or be sad?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I don't think that you should ever just like completely shut that out. If you're feeling upset, you need to let yourself feel that. But I think there's a difference between letting yourself be upset and maybe be a little hurt and holding a grudge against the casting people, or maybe against yourself for feeling like you didn't work hard enough or something like that. I definitely let myself sit in it. Like, even recently, I knew that it worked out the way it was supposed to, but I just wanted to let myself feel that disappointment. If you aren't even a little bit upset about it, then it's almost as if you didn't care about it as much. And so I think that whenever I am upset, that's how I know this is what I love and this is what I care about, because I wouldn't be upset if I didn't care about it. So I also just am comforted in those moments by knowing that even though I'm really upset right now, and even if I know that and even if it didn't fit my ideals, I kind of in the back of my head know already that it's still going to work out and I'm still going to have fun. But I just have to let myself feel that at first.
You're kind of putting yourself in the hands of the creative team too, and trusting their judgment. And sometimes that can be harder because you've never worked with the same creative team twice. You've worked with the same director in different shows, but for the most part, the creative team is different people, a different configuration of people every time. So you've got a different choreographer, a different director, a different stage manager, a different person doing props lead, different person doing costuming. Who did I leave out? Music director, did I say that? Music director. All those different parts. And so those are the people that come to an agreement when it's time to make the cast list. And I have seen you just say, in the beginning you didn't understand why the cast list was the way that it was, but then I know in Beetlejuice particularly, you said there's nobody else who could have done that particular role better than the person that they put in that spot. And so you start to see, as you're working through the rehearsals, you start to see, now I'm seeing what the creative team saw that I didn't have access to. Out of all of the shows that you've done, which one was your favorite story? Well, favorite show, favorite story. Because I think I know what you're going to say, but I might be wrong.
Oh, man, they're all so good. Favorite story, I think, would have to be Notre Dame.
I was right.
Because I love, in my opinion, the deeper the show, the better. The more emotional it is, the more I'm going to enjoy it. Because I really just love getting fully immersed in the emotion of the story. And it's almost like you're getting to live different lives when you're in a show like that. You're getting to be a different person and feel different things and be in different situations. But yeah, I definitely say Notre Dame just because it's so deep and it's emotionally heavy, but I think that's what I like about it. Yeah. Because I got to be in that situation.
So when you say Notre Dame, that's Hunchback of Notre Dame. Because everything that you've done up until that point was basically children's theater. Except for Beetlejuice. Yeah. I mean, that was Beetlejuice Jr.
It was just a little more mature.
Yeah, Beetlejuice Jr. is still pretty dark. But Hunchback of Notre Dame, you'd never done anything like that. And seriously, I get emotional just thinking about the show. Because I went, I tried to go to every single show.
You were there at almost every single show.
Well, I volunteered.
But then you got to watch
so that I can go to the show.
Yeah.
Because she'd never done a show where they did vocals in Latin and there were all these multiple layers of vocals and all the different parts. I mean, it was the full musical. It was very complex. You'd never brought home a script like that. The libretto was this giant,
oh my goodness, it was huge.
Text.
It was a really big script.
But definitely the most complicated musically too.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever sang full 12-minute numbers in Latin fully.
Wow.
I mean, we and this was in a month and a half. An entire cast memorized full songs in Latin with no choir books on stage, fully memorizing and reciting songs in Latin, which I think is crazy that we did that we pulled that off.
It was impressive.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I did cry.
Me too. Me too. I did. On the last show, I cried so hard because I looked over to the guy who was playing the male lead and then he was crying and then I was crying and then everybody was just so sad.
Why does everybody cry at the last show?
Oh my goodness, that's such a good question. It's kind of like, it's closure. It's closing night, and so it makes sense. But it's that feeling of like, okay, you turned the last page, but now you're like shutting the book, and it's like now all you have is memories of it, and you can't, you don't. I think that the biggest reason why I cry every time the show ends is because I know that I will never get to do it again. I will, even if I do the same show, which is pretty rare, it'll never be the same cast in the same theater with the same directors and the same, I don't know, sound and audience. It's just, for me, I always get upset because I know that I'll never get to be in that moment again. The feeling that you have when you're singing the specific songs and doing the lines on stage, it's like you realize that like you can't get that back. But it's also kind of a happy cry because it feels like kind of like an I made it moment, but it's also kind of a happy cry because it feels a little bit like I have another memory to look back on, and I have another show to think of when I look at my resume or something like that. And you just have more memories. So it's kind of like a completion. It's kind of like the feeling of like I made it, I did this, and I get to look back on it. But it's also the sad cry because you realize that like that is all you have of that show is just the memories. It's just the like talking about it and looking back on it and watching the videos.
So you've gotten to do, just this last Friday night, you got to do one, and then several months ago you got to do another workshop with Broadway performers.
Yes.
So tell us about who you got to meet and learn under this past Friday night, and then what was something that was really encouraging to you about that?
I met DeAndre Woods this past Friday, and he was so incredible. He's so talented, and he was on Broadway Hamilton. He played 3 different leads on Hamilton different times, which is absolutely amazing. You can see, whenever I spoke to him, I could see how much he loves theater and performing arts. When he was teaching this dance class, because he taught us choreography from the Broadway Hamilton, every second of when he was teaching us, you could tell that he really genuinely loves that. He loves what he does. So I think that mainly what I noticed about him is that because you could tell that he loves performing arts so much, he was willing to make the sacrifices to be doing it. And he also could tell that because he loved it and we all shared that same love for performing arts, that he wants us all to get exactly where we want to be because we love it and we all share that. And he was fully open to telling us anything we needed to know about what the sacrifices and what the costs and the risks are, but also just the amazing point when you get there and when you get that role, you get that moment on stage.
So with doing the number of shows that you're doing every year, how are you balancing schoolwork and all the, other, do you have any free time? Like how do you balance it all?
Well,
or is there balance?
I think that there's enough balance with it. Personally, having only 3 rehearsals a week is insanely helpful. When I was having rehearsal every single night, there was 0 balance at all, and I was okay with that because, like I said earlier, it's like the sacrifices. You make those sacrifices with your time because you love it. But when I was in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the rehearsals were right by my school, which is really far away from my house, so I was staying at school until like 5:30 every day, just waiting, and then going to rehearsal and not getting home until about 9 o'clock every night, and then we would just repeat. So when it's a schedule like that, there's honestly not balance, and I'm okay with that because I love it. But right now, balancing school, I think the main difficulty is just that it's all day and it's far away for me because of what school I go to. It's like 45 minutes drive and back every day. And I think it's worth it because also I love my school. Honestly, if I had a really big homework load, I think it would be a lot different. It would look a lot different, but I don't, which I'm pretty thankful for. I do get regular free time, which I'm grateful for, but I usually on rehearsal days, I just have to come home and really just get my stuff done and then go to rehearsal and then just come home and immediately go to sleep because it's late and I need to recharge. But on days that I don't have rehearsal, I get to prepare for rehearsal, which is fun. So yeah, I think there's a good balance with having off days where I don't have to go and spend whatever, like 3 hours at the studio. It's good to have that time to kind of reset and prepare for when I am there. It does get difficult because then the schedule does limit me to what shows and classes I can do. And something that I discovered about myself after being in Notre Dame is that I could not handle being in an all-day school and all-night, every-day rehearsal setting. I just can't handle that. It completely drained me. It was worth it, and I loved it, and I don't regret it. It just was very exhausting. So, I mean, I'm going back to homeschool next year because I want to really focus on the arts and performing and theater and taking classes, because I think that if I want to do more of what I love, I have to, like I said, there are sacrifices, and so I have to sacrifice the being at a really great school, but it's just really far away. I have to sacrifice that and seeing those people for doing more performing arts and getting better, improving, and taking classes. So I think that for me, that's what the balance just is going to look like for next year and for moving forward. Right now with the rehearsals, the balance is really great. I just think if I want to do more, it's kind of like an exchange. Yes. I have to trade one thing for the other. Yeah.
That's so wise, because that's going to be probably your whole life, the sacrifices, so that you're already navigating those sacrifices and compromises and learning about yourself and learning of, okay, this was wonderful, but it was a limit for me. And yeah, that's so wise.
Yeah, thank you. And I think too, with Mom being so flexible and so, like, I can tell that you want that you want that for me. You want me to be able to do what I love. And so I think that that's one of the biggest factors, is that you're so supportive and that you want me to be able to get where I can do the things that I love. Because if you were saying no, like, you have to go to school, you have to go to a real school and not be homeschooled again, you have to do that and stay committed to your school, then things would look a lot different, and I'd be pretty limited on what I can do, and I'd kind of just be stuck eventually. I'd still enjoy it. I wouldn't be able to do more and kind of move up a little bit. But I think the fact that you were even the one that suggested it. We were in the car on the way home from school one day, and she just said, you could be homeschooled next year and take classes and just do more theater, and you could just do school at home. And it was so sudden, but it was like, wait.
It surprised me too, because
you didn't know you were going to say that.
I hadn't thought about it at all. I mean, it was honestly like the Lord just said, because I had just been going through, like, doing the tuition application and applying for financial aid and all of that. And then we were talking about, what does it look like next year? Because Amelia is dual enrolled, and she's done with her classes at the community college every day by noon. Yeah. So she's got the whole rest of, she's babysitting pretty much every day. She has violin rehearsal and orchestra and all of that. So she has a lot more margin. And I know that you have observed the amount of margin that she has and felt like, goodness, you're spending like 2 to 3 times the number of hours every day between your commute and actually being at school on campus. You're spending like 2 to 3 times the number of hours that she is. So it just was, everything was kind of coming together at that time for me, realizing, what if we just took this chunk of money we're putting towards tuition every month and put that towards classes to help strengthen your skills for what you're wanting to do. And I guess maybe this is a good thing for parents that might be listening to know, that you have options. If your child is highly motivated, then figure out some way. And if they're highly motivated and you feel like you can, and they have the maturity to be independent, there are plenty of online class options, whether it's through your local community college. I think in North Carolina, high school students can take online classes with any community college in the state. I know you can't be on campus until you're 16, at least at the one here, but I mean, you could even, Lucy, you could even take online classes through Cape Fear or anywhere in North Carolina. But there's so many online options, even free online options, and there's tons of different literature lists and all kinds of things like that. Go back and listen to our homeschool series from our education series from season 1 if you're kind of wondering if this might be a good fit, or send us a message if you have questions about it. But it is possible. I mean, some of these teens who are already touring professionally, like we went and saw Broadway Annie at the Wilson Center.
She was 12. She was
Wow.
my age.
Yeah.
The girl who's playing Annie on Broadway. That was the moment where I really said, I want to do that. I think that was the point where I was like,
Wow.
yeah, that's it.
That's
Yes.
you. But those girls are not in that cast of girls. Those girls are not in traditional schools. That just doesn't fit what they're doing right now. And so, like you said, and it's an exchange, but there has to be some level of, especially if you're a working parent, you've got to know that your teen is mature and independent enough, and understanding that you're willing to be disciplined with your school so that we can also create these other opportunities for you to do the things that you love.
Yeah.
We love watching you perform and do your shows, and that absolutely has been just part of who you have been since you could walk and talk.
Yeah.
Very, very, very much so.
And
So it is no surprise that this is the direction that you're going. And secretly, I want you to stay home and open a coffee shop here in town. And
I can do both. I can do both.
because it's scary too. That's something we talked to DeAndre Woods about.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That industry is it can be really difficult, really toxic.
yeah, a lot of just hard things. And as a parent, you don't want to see your child put themselves in a vulnerable position just because they'll do anything just to get that role or to get that show or to get that job or to get that contract. And I don't ever want you to feel like you're having to compromise so that you can pay your bills.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but he gave me a lot of confidence with that.
Yeah, because
For
he
sure.
said that and it was crazy about this without us even mentioning it, and we had been talking about it for a while, for the past month, that he was saying that can be a really hard industry and it can be full of really awful things, but that we have to be kind of, in a way, the light in those places. And that I think with the fact that I had been doing that kind of thing since I was so little, that's kind of how I know that is something that I'm supposed to do. It's not just something I want, it's also what I'm supposed to do. And so I think when you have those values and you want that thing, but the place is kind of difficult, I think that's kind of a way of God saying, you can be the person that lights up this area. And I hope that I can do that. I hope and think I can. Oh,
I know you can.
I think I can. The little train that just reminded me
The
of
little
that.
engine that could.
But, yeah.
I think that's great. And I think no matter what arena our children go into, I think they're going to be met with darkness, whether it's the entertainment industry or science or, hospitality. I mean, just every industry, I feel like, has the potential for darkness. And so already acknowledging I want to bring light to dark places. And I love that.
And he also told us that, God can put you in certain roles to tell a story that in a way, even if the actual show has nothing to do with God, that for people in the audience it can be interpreted the message that you're bringing can bring something about God that other people need to hear, even if the show itself isn't about that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what he told us.
Yeah.
That God will put you in certain characters and certain roles to, in a way, interpret it differently and spread a message to the audience that someone needs to hear, which I think is really interesting.
So are there other areas of the arts that you enjoy or that you do in your free time?
Is coffee making an art?
Yes, definitely. I love that a lot. I love doing that.
Do you do like latte art and everything?
I'm trying. I'm really trying. Yeah, that's definitely kind of a creative thing for me. I love making coffee. I think it's fun. It's something that I can, I don't know, just be creative with, and it doesn't have to look any specific way. I used to be more invested in art than I am now, as in like painting and drawing. I love drawing and I love painting. It's just not something that I really do a lot. It's only if I just have a specific thing that I want to make. I do like creative writing a lot. I love writing lyrics and songs. I love that. I think that's kind of like part of being in musical theater and in deep shows is emotional expression, and you can kind of really get that out through there. But I think that for me, songwriting is also a really big part of that. Like, it's kind of like a journal. Like if I'm feeling something, if I'm thinking something, I put it in lyrics, and it's like the easiest way for me to get it out. I also love nail art. I love doing nails. That's kind of been a fun thing for me. But yeah.
So do you play instruments?
Right now my voice is my instrument. But I used to play the drums for how many years was that? 2 or 3?
Yeah, you're very good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And that was really fun. It didn't really become realistic like time-wise, but it is fun every now and then. I'll do it every now and then whenever I just think about it. But for right now, just vocals is my thing. I would love to learn to play piano, but once again, just time.
Yes.
I don't think I can add another thing to the list right now.
So what are you looking forward to in the future? Like next school year, you talked about doing homeschool, and what kind of classes relating to the performing arts are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm really, really excited to work with my vocal coach, Jamie, more, because I think that with just the schedule, I can't really have a ton of lessons with her, but I would love to do more lessons with her soon, or just next year, because she's so great to work with. I think that because I've worked with her in actual shows, she knows my voice, and she kind of knows where I'm at, and she can help me really, really improve just vocally, and it's really great. It's fun to work with her too, because we're kind of like friends. Like, she's a coach, but she's a friend to me also. I can't wait to take dance classes, because I haven't really focused on dancing much. I've always danced in shows, but I've never taken classes on that and really focused on that. And I think that out of the 3, singing, dancing, and acting, I think that dancing is probably my weakest. I think I'm good at it, but I'm just not great, you know? So I can't wait to take dance classes. I think that's going to be really, really fun. And hopefully work with just more professional groups, be on stages, do bigger shows, hopefully be in more shows that I've been wanting to do. Because also, I haven't worked with many companies. I've only really stuck to 2 companies. I was with Acting Up, and then I was with WPA. And so I'm looking forward to branching out and working with other companies in Wilmington, because there are so many. So I think that's going to be really great. I'm going to get to meet a lot of new people and make a lot of connections. And I think that a lot of companies kind of stick to a theme for what, like, the kinds of shows they do. I think that Jamie does more emotional shows, and like the ones that I've done recently are more like creative and like fun and funny. But yeah, so I can't wait to do more just different kinds of shows in general and perform in different places. I would love to perform in Thalian Hall. That would be amazing. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to just kind of just expanding and spreading out to doing more things and being in more places and just trying new things.
What is kind of your vision? Like, what would be your ideal in the future beyond next school year? Like, just you're big future. You're 22 years old. What are you doing?
That's the perfect age. Okay. I really, really want to be on Travel Broadway. I want to be on like a national tour, because they literally, the whole cast gets to see the world and perform in a million different theaters and do such a good show over and over with amazing people. And it's kind of like in shows, in like the kinds of shows I've done, they're always really short. Even if it's like 5 months, it's always over, and it's really it always feels short. It always feels like it goes by really quickly. But with that, you prepare and you prepare and you prepare, but then you get to do it all over the world. And I think that that's amazing. But yeah, I want to be on a national tour on Broadway. I want to travel.
Do you have, like, if you could pick a show that you were doing, traveling the world?
A show and tell me the role.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Take your time.
Whew, this is too much. Oh my goodness, there's a million different ones. Oh, my original thought that's, I think, will always be number one is Lydia Dietz in Beetlejuice. That's always gonna be like just the dream role. It's just such an amazing role. So I would love to play Lydia in Beetlejuice. I've always kind of loved Annie, like the role and just the entire show. And I've been in both of those shows, so I know that I love it. But yeah, I'd have to say Broadway Beetlejuice as Lydia. It's always been a favorite. Yeah. It's so good. And we're seeing it in May. We're seeing Broadway Beetlejuice in May because they're coming to the Wilson Center.
So fun.
I'm really excited to see that show really in person, because I've been in the show and I've watched the recording online, but I've never seen it in person.
Yes.
What is it about Lydia Dietz that role? Is it is it like just the songs? I mean, I'm saying, like, we've talked about this, but for everybody else.
Yeah.
Is it the songs because they're fun to sing, or is it more like the depth of the character? Because it's a dark story.
Yeah. Honestly, it's all of it. The songs that she sings are so amazing. I really, really like the style of the songs that she sings, and I enjoy singing them a lot. But also the depth of her role, because she's very, very emotional, and she's kind of feeling like, I mean, she's mourning, she's grieving, and she's letting herself really sit in that. And it's just the whole entire role is very emotional, but I love that because, like I said, it's like you're getting to live a bunch of different lives whenever you're playing different roles in theater. I would just love to play a role with that much emotional depth, because I think I've played a lot of parts that are more fun and funny, but not as much like really, really deep in the raw emotion of it. And Lydia is probably one of the most emotional and raw characters in shows in general.
Do you get to learn about yourself? Like, what is it that you learn about yourself when you get to play a role that's different from kind of who you are just on a day-to-day basis in your own life?
I think you kind of unlock different things that you don't realize. That it sounds cliche, but like, it is true. Whenever you play different roles that have been in different situations and are feeling different things, I think you kind of unlock things that you never let yourself acknowledge, or that you feel like you weren't able to live out, or because it, like, feeling those things and really staying in that moment, in those emotions, kind of conflicted with the rest of your life. So I feel like whenever you play a different role that's emotional or has been through different things, you kind of discover what you've been, like, in a way, like, needing to express and needing to let yourself feel, if that makes sense. Like, even if the situation itself isn't exactly what you've gone through before, I think that playing roles like that really let you just completely, unapologetically just let it all out, and just, like, not have to be like, sorry, I need to, like, I'm sorry that I'm taking up time, like, with this conversation, or that I'm venting to you, or I know I have to go somewhere tomorrow, or I don't want to be upset while I'm around people. It's like people see you feel, and they applaud it. it's cool. It's really, really cool because the audience just sees you playing the role, but you're for me personally, I really, really get invested in the emotional level of a character. So the audience is just seeing you play the role and is seeing what the part is going through. But when it's you playing it, you are feeling what that character is feeling. And you don't have to like hold it in at all. People are loving getting to see you just like feel, just like raw. And I think that's really cool. That's what I love about playing emotional characters, is you really can just, you don't have to hold anything back. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think as someone who is in the audience, that in being in the audience of a show allows you to feel things that you haven't felt too. That it's very much a reciprocal kind of experience as someone watching a show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It just takes you in so much more, I think, than a movie or something on a screen. There's just something about that in person, the vocals,
Live performance is very different because as an audience member, you're maybe not thinking it consciously as you're experiencing the story, but you still have an awareness that this is a one-shot thing. Definitely. No one's saying, oh, let's redo that scene. Oh, let's start back at this line or whatever. Yeah. You realize these people have put in so much time and energy and thought and emotion and all of that into what you're getting to see. And it like what DeAndre Woods was saying, like performing arts, you get to bring joy, you get to bring beauty, bring creativity. Those are all things that the world needs. Those are all things that God intends for the world to experience through beauty and so and creativity. So you get to be a part of what allows people to live a more full, whole life because you're allowing them to experience. And through story, so much of what we live out and experience is done through story form. And so getting to experience like the intersection of story and creativity and beauty and art is like, it's just one of those special things in life. I don't think there's anything that can take the place. Gretchen, like you said, nothing recorded or on TV or on movies, like there's not really a replacement for live performing arts. It's just different.
And I think that's partly why directors always tell you, make eye contact with the audience, make eye contact. Because if you have that moment with an audience member, it completely is, it's huge. So
I remember being at Les Mis, and at the end, they're all singing, will you join, and I mean, I'm standing up, crying, clapping, like, yes, I will join the crusade. Yeah. I will join you. It's just, it is really, theater is very, very powerful.
Oh, 100%.
What would your advice be to a young person who is listening or maybe a parent has a child who is wanting to explore performing arts? What would your advice be?
I think if you're a teenager or just a person in general who's trying to pursue performing arts, I think you really have to learn to be okay with not getting exactly what you wanted, because if you aren't able to accept that, then you're never going to fully enjoy it. So like I remember specifically a role that I really, really wanted, and I had worked for it, didn't get it. If I wasn't able to say, you know what, it's okay that I didn't get this role because it's gonna work out, then I wouldn't have had fun. But if I just kept saying, no, like this is awful just because I didn't get the role, then I wouldn't have ever enjoyed being in the show. So it's really just what you have to decide that you're okay with. You have to learn to be okay with not getting exactly what you wanted, even if you worked for it and even if you thought that you were the best fit. And also just trust the process and trust the directors, because this is something that I've had to learn, is that they've been doing that for a lot longer than I have, and I could think all I want that I'm the best fit and that I know best about the casting, but that in the end I don't. I'm just one of the people auditioning, and that they've been doing it way longer than I have. So just trust that it sounds cliche, but really just trust that it's all going to work out, because it does. Unless you don't let it. You have to let it, but if you allow it to, and if you just kind of release that control and that wanting to do everything and make it all perfect, if you want that, then be a director. But if you want that, then pursue directing and not performing, because then you can do that.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry, I didn't even mean it in like a
no, it's great,
sassy way. I just genuinely, it's like, I mean, that's probably why most directors direct, is because they want to put every little piece together and make it perfect.
And they have their vision.
Yeah.
Right.
They've got their creative vision for the whole thing. Whereas you come into it with kind of a vision for the role that you're like your vision is for yourself as that role, as that character.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you gave advice for kind of the younger person maybe wanting to pursue the arts. What advice would you give to parents who have somebody who is an artist, a creative, a dreamer? You said something earlier about Jennifer and or your mom, and how she supports you and encourages you. How important it is that your mom has been supportive of you and has kind of even made suggestions to kind of help cultivate this love for you. So do you have advice for parents that have a creative child? I guess all children are creative, right?
In different ways.
That's right.
Honestly, I would just say that the biggest factor of that is, and the biggest advice that I could give, is to be encouraging, because that will get your child so far, is by just having that encouragement. Because, I mean, kids care what their parents think. They want to hear that from their parents. They want to hear that, like, you can do this, you've got this.
So say that your child doesn't get the role that they wanted. Like, how do you think a parent can best support their child in that moment or in that kind of time?
Honestly, I think that the best thing to do is just to let them feel it. Just, and even be disappointed with them. Like, honestly, because every single time that something's happened with a show or with a role where I'm confused or I'm upset, Mom, the whole time you've been there with me. And I also think you get, like, invested in it with me. Let your kid feel that, and to feel it with them, because they need that person there with them to say, like, yeah, I don't know either. I thought you were, I thought you were great. And not to just be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter, it's fine, just, like, move on. But to also encourage them that it will still work out. You will still have fun.
So we shouldn't, like, call the director and be like, what in the world are you thinking?
Maybe not. I know if I was a parent, I'd probably want to.
Right.
But, and I think too, if your child wants to improve, then help them with that. And of course, I know that there's, like, the financial level of it can be a little bit difficult, because a lot of good classes are maybe more expensive or things like that. But even if it's just, you look things up on YouTube, and there's a million different videos with advice and with coaching. And so just help them find those different ways that they can improve, so that they can have more of the moments where it's like, yes, like, I did that.
Yeah.
Because you can't really get where you want to be in performing arts if you don't work for it. It's very rare that people just magically get every part they want. So I think if you want your kid to have those moments where they did it, they got the role, or they have the moment, then help them improve. Help them get through the things that they need, or then help them find the resources they need, find the people that they could hang out and work with, and then be excited with them. I think just being invested with them is probably one of the best things you could do. It's just showing them, like, we're both in on this, and I care, and you're not the only one that wants this for you. Like, I want this for you.
Right.
I think too is asking the creative team, whoever made the cast list, at the right time for feedback, and just trust that what they say is what they feel like will be helpful, and approach them in a way that is truly just genuinely wanting to learn so that you can grow and improve.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes the feedback that you'll get is, like DeAndre Woods was saying, sometimes with Broadway stuff, the cast is determined by which costume did they not have to alter, or you know, who was available for this next rehearsal date, or just things
you were too tall, you were too short, stuff
right.
like that.
Sometimes it's things that really seem like they should not be qualifiers for a cast list, and yet they are, because there's a practical side to performing arts, and so that definitely goes into it. And I know, Lucy, with a recent role that you were hoping for but did not get, you got that feedback, and it was, you know, it was helpful to hear.
Definitely.
It was helpful to hear.
I had completely worked for this one part that was completely opposite of what I got, and I asked the director, hey, I'm not trying to be ungrateful, I'm really excited to play this role, can I ask why I got the part? And she said, well, it really came down to your vocal range. And so that's the kind of thing where you think, like, I would have expected that they said, oh, well, you just didn't fit the part, you're acting, whatever. We just didn't see you as the role. So-and-so was better, but it can come down to the tedious things like your vocal range or your height or just anything like that.
As your mom, I have seen with you, and also Amelia with auditions for orchestra and things like that, I have seen both of y'all grow so much and see how, and I guess it's similar too, like with athletics, you know, we've always been more performing arts and things like that, and Carrie, my husband has always wished that we were doing some balanced things with athletics and sports too, because I think he feels more comfortable with that because of the character development that comes through playing with a team and having to try out and all of those things. But I see very much a lot of that with performing arts with you guys, particularly through the audition process on such a regular basis. But I'm so proud of you, and I love, if I could stay and watch every rehearsal, I would be that annoying mom that's just looking through the door, because I'm curious and I'm invested, and I love getting to just watch you do the things that you love. I love watching all of the kids in those shows do what they love. I think you shared a lot of wisdom. You're very articulate and sweet and just all the things. And I'm just excited that the world, and hopefully not just parents, but hopefully some young people will get to hear from you and maybe figure out what it looks like if they want to consider a future in performing arts, and just how to be okay with the no's.
Yes.
The everyday life, keeping their ideals and everyday life.
Because that does build a lot of character.
Very
nice. Because the rejection, it builds character, but it also, in a way, it builds confidence when you end up realizing that you're okay with not getting that.
That's so wise.
Kind of works opposite for how you would think.
So I know you're 14, but how can our listeners connect with you? Do you have a presence on social media? Or
I have my own podcast. Actually.
Yay! Tell us about that. And that is a great way they can find you.
Yeah. So it's called POV, etc. And it's my point of view on random things, etc. It's mainly faith-based and on like emotional and relationship things and kind of faith and things like that. But I also do want to talk about performing arts at some point. But yeah, you can find me on YouTube, and I also have a Pinterest account that's linked to my YouTube.
Oh, great. So we'll share that on our show notes for sure.
Please. And I don't have like a huge social media presence. I'm not on Instagram or anything like that. But
yay for you.
Yeah.
We're so proud.
Exactly.
So thankful.
Yeah.
I'm waiting as long as I possibly can.
Yes.
Me too.
Yes.
Too. Because
that is so wise.
that will not end well. So
yes.
I'm okay with waiting.
Well,
but, yeah.
I am glad that everyone will get to hear more from you and your POV.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lucy.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
I love you, babe.
I love you.
Aww.
And parents, take notes. take notes on these women. They're amazing.
Aw.
They're amazing.
You're so sweet. Thank you. We're just going to go cry and have Lucy make us coffee.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Bye-bye.